What? Gek! Got someone sneaking up on us!
Hi, it's Over1975 and welcome to Nipsy Does Honor Mode episode 12. Really, already episode 12. And today we're going to fight some of the most overpowered things in the game, which are Drugar. Drugar and Drow are two of the most OP races, bad guy races in D&D 5e. I can't bring myself to play as a Drugar as a playable race, even though they are so ridiculously overpowered. And yeah, I forgot he counter spells, but it is the first turn of the combat. And now that's just reminded me. Oh yeah, he counter spells. Tends to counter spell the first spell of the round, so basically, yeah, just cast something you're not worried about, or a little cantrip, and he'll sit there counter spelling that and wasting his time, which is great. This fight, I come into this pretty well prepared, with the hook horror zombie with me and Glut, so that's quite handy. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't just carry on pasting him with action surge. I don't know what I was saving it for, to be honest. As to this fight in general, this is quite an okay fight if you don't completely walk into the ambush. It's got to be said. Mass healing word's useful here because the way I got Shadowheart's set up is she's got bless thing, and he wasn't supposed to counterspell that one as well. So that's two counterspells going already. That was annoying. Didn't expect him to counterspell two things. So yeah, the reason I was trying to get the healing off is not actually for the healing, but it's because everyone bless and blade ward for a limited period. So it is really useful. And then I had this problem that Karlach couldn't throw or get into him, so had to be a bit inventive with getting her to the guy and at least throwing something at him, which she does really well, and then misses. How with the hit she's got, it's incredible she misses. But yeah, this guy was super annoying, and I was quite glad I brought the hook horror along. The hook horror is really great in this instance, A, because of its ability to jump means that you can usually get into places where it's quite difficult for its base size to fit, but unfortunately in this case I had to waddle there and dash into position. But yeah, annoyingly he couldn't get into position, but he's there as a meat shield to hold up the zombies, which he'll do fine at. And yeah, as you can see, it's a useful creature to have along for the amount of damage it does and the amount of damage it can take from the zombies, who they do have a simple bash attack, but overall these Drugar are pretty tough. They're pretty durable. They've got high hit points. They hit pretty hard, especially when they crit like that. So all in all, they are pretty nasty. So yeah, it's, like I say, it's not the most difficult of fights. It is a reasonably easy fight once you get going, and once you get everyone in position. Drugar, Deep Gnomes and Drow are the classic races you run into in the Underdark in 5e in the tabletop version, and Drugar are immensely OP. Their ability to go invisible, their ability to giant size, they're just an absolute nightmare of, like, in terms of D&D 5e. They're incredibly good creatures, like incredibly good. Drow also are incredibly powerful, and Deep Gnomes have got a great affinity with illusion magic, so they're really useful as well. All the deep races are actually stronger than the races on the surface, but you do have that problem that they can't, don't work in sunlight. So yeah, that's the quite good fun bit about it. They just don't work very well in sunlight. I think everyone's got blinded already. That's one of the things that happens in this fight quite a bit, is people get blinded, and it's super annoying. But once you get Karlach going, it's hammer time on people. She's at this stage, she's just absolutely brutalizing with Bless. She doesn't miss all that often, and she hits so damn hard. You know, it's properly abusive how hard she hits, and her throwing ability is just really immense. Lizelle at this point, she's really useful for knocking stuff down, tripping stuff up, doing all those sort of things. And yeah, I was just really annoyed I couldn't get my hook horror on the go. Normally I jump him in straight on that bridge and then go from there, but this time I kind of messed up. He is in kind of position but not, but it works because he's really good at just fending off large amounts of attacks. And so is Lizelle, to be honest. She's got a really good armor class, so yeah, they're doing okay. With Bless and Blade Ward on them for a short period of time really does make a huge difference. That setup with Shadowheart is kind of one of the cornerstones of how I've built this. And Nipsy's ideal at just doing that little nibbly bit of damage to deal with the returning zombies. So yeah, let's just get another spell. You know, counter spelled. I'm spending so long saying it out because I know it's going to get counter spell probably, but you know, you got to act as though it's not going to be, and then just let it get counter spelled. But yeah, it is super annoying. But like, it's one of those things. Counterspell is such a dick punch, but I'm one of those people that uses counterspell all the time, so it's like, you know, just haven't got it at this level yet. That's one of the things. I have come down in a quite low level with only one attack per round, which I gotta say, this fight's a lot easier when you have 2 attacks per turn. I'm close to that level, and hopefully will have that level before I travel across to the Forge, because yeah, there's a lot of Trugar at the Forge, and the quicker you can kill things, the absolute better, because you'll take less incoming damage. But like I say, this is one of those controllable fights. It's not that difficult. You're not going to get swamped by the minions. They're not that powerful, and the mainline Drugar are annoying, but they're not that tough. This is one of those fun fights that you can control, take the high ground, and just pretty much, you know, do a sensible job. You know, if you don't take too many risks, it's not that difficult to fight. And when you've got a barbarian hitting as hard as Karlach does, it becomes a lot easier. I was trying to do something silly, but I couldn't, so just smashed them with my hammer. I want to get that thunder damage hammer going, that I can, if I jump I do thunder damage, but it doesn't seem to work. And yeah, the hook horror, it does do a decent amount of damage and bleeding, so that's good. And I could finally get the pounce in, which knocks someone prone. And yeah, just kind of did that the wrong way around. But that's the position I wanted the hook horror in, because it's just in position for those zombies coming up the ladder. And I got Polearm Master Lizelle ready to have a poke at anything that comes past. And the hook horror can soak up the damage, because I'm going to have to turn on the hook horror after this fight anyway, because I'm not going to side with Glut, because I'm being a goody two-shoes. And one thing I should do more often is when things are prone, they automatically fail dexterity checks. That's something to keep in mind. But this turn it was more important to get the sword in play, which I can't believe I missed that. Really helps out, because it means Lizelle's even doing even more extra damage. So, you know, she gets poison damage because the thing she got off Karga. She does electric damage if I do any damage with her bow in range before moving into combat. Yeah, and then she'll soon be doing caustic damage because she'll have the caustic ring, and when Polara leaves up, she gets a bit of thunder damage as well. So it's all about those little extra bits of damage, you know, here and there that she can do. Yeah, super helpful, super amounts of extra little damage. And again, I apologise if it sounds like I'm in a vacuum cleaner, but there's a massive storm raging outside, and I am not in the quietest place to record these. So yeah, this is going to be like the storm affected episodes, because I'm trying to do 2 of them tonight, and hopefully the storm clears up a bit tomorrow and I can record some in peace, but I don't know. It's, you know, literally just hitting the coast now, and hopefully it'll blow over soon. But yeah, the multi-attack I think does hit pretty hard. The Boulette is like probably the best creature to bring down here, because it can do its acid splurge attack on loads of things. I've not reanimated the Beholder too much. In fact, I hadn't encountered the Beholder in this playthrough yet. Yeah, there's a Beholder down here with some Drow statues that suddenly come back to life and attack you, and it's all quite good fun. It's probably one of the most fun encounters in the game. I do remember when I spoke to Woody, he was later in Act 2, and I said, what happened? What did you do with the Owlbear? And he was like, what Owlbear? And what did you do with the Beholder? What Beholder? Technically it's a spectator, but you know, I'm so used to calling them Beholders. It's all part of the same Beholder family. Yeah, somehow Woody had managed to not notice those 2 encounters on his way through. He's very much get to level 12 as quick as possible, finish the game as quick as possible. Once he's at level 12, he loses interest in side quests. I'm playing this very much as I want to complete everything. So when we play 2-player together, it's quite funny because he drives me mad with he jumps from place to place to place so quickly. I very rarely use the fast travel. He lives by the fast travel, so yeah, it's a bit of a change of play style for me. When we play together, we quite often run around separately and then meet up to do the fights, which is quite good fun. Because the weird thing, the way Baldur's Gate works sometimes is you can trigger a fight and then the other person can travel halfway across the map to join in it before the first, act swings. Which is weird, but that's just the way it works. I mean, you can cheese the combat in Baldur's Gate 3 in many ways. Invisibility, stealth archery, long range archery, these all tend to, break the combat in a certain way, but ultimately it's a really nicely done combat system that does represent the tabletop roleplay game pretty well. And if you don't cheese, it behaves really, really well and works really, really well. I actually really enjoy the combat system of Baldur's Gate 3 because I enjoy D&D 5e. Even though sometimes the fights can draw out, one of the issues with 5e is because it's turn-based combat, when you're playing as one character, there can be a lot of waiting around for your turn, which is not something you have to worry about with the Baldur's Gate 3 version, because normally you're controlling everyone. I've often said one thing I'd do in the Baldur's Gate 3 version of 5e that I wouldn't do in the tabletop is have the amount of summonses that I have, because they just clog up and delay the game, and when you're playing as one character it's really unfair to make your friends wait as you roll for your 6 wolves. One of the things you can do is spread your summonses around the other party members, but ultimately summonses just really do clag up the board with characters, and in a game about action economy, flooding the bad guys with tons of actions it's kind of broken, and it kind of breaks 5e a little bit. 5e isn't, I don't know, it's probably one of the better D&D versions I've played over the years, but there's certain parts of it I don't like. I dislike the lack of customization with skills, the fact that you just get your flat proficiency bonus on skills, and you don't get to spend points. I actually prefer the old 5e and Pathfinder method where you actually allocate points, because you could have 2 people playing a rogue and their rogues can be completely different depending on how they've spent their skill points, whereas in 5e they'll be exactly the same because they don't spend their skill points, which I liked being able to access cross-class skills. It's one of those things about me. I like tailoring and uniquing my characters. So 5e has got less of that. Makes it less number crunchy than Pathfinder or old AD&D, but that was something I actually liked, was the customizational level. So with the Drugar dead, it's time to turn on Glut, or not let Glut turn on Sovereign, depending on how you want to view it. I decided he couldn't have his hook horror. I'd give him a little zombie dwarf instead. You know, that's my choice. A bit mean of me, but yeah. And then I'll take a short break and then, you know, short rest and be ready for the fight against him, which isn't a particularly tough fight. It's got to be said. You know, it's coming. It's just, you know, it takes a little while to kill him, but it's not exactly a challenging fight. I would say at this level, he's one of the most powerful allies you get in the game. I mean, Dame Ailing obviously is more powerful than him later in the game, but the ability to bring back the Boulette or the hook horrors is huge. And yeah, you know, make use of him. He's a good asset and adds a lot of help. But ultimately, you know, just lay waste to him afterwards. But can't believe Lizelle let me down really with the, you know, I brought him back a nice fun novice to fight for her, and she lets me down by not tripping him up. But yeah, because to be honest, the little Drugar barbarian didn't really get a fair crack of the whip the first time round, so I thought I'd let him have a second go. And yeah, then I realised half my people weren't even in the fight. But like I said earlier, there's that weird thing where you can walk around until you get pulled into the turn-based combat that's going on. So weirdly, no matter how far you are away from the combat, you can always walk in. And then I remembered to get the Shriek Sword up just so any attacks do a little bit extra damage. And might as well daze him as well. Daze is actually one of those effects that's underlooked because it does remove their reactions, which is a very powerful thing to do to spellcasters. If you daze them, they can't counterspell. Yeah, it's the same as Shock and Grasp. It's really good for getting rid of reactions. So you know, removing actions and removing reactions is a huge thing in the game. You know, that's massive. And why Glut would leave there and take that attack of opportunity, I don't know. That's some big attacks of opportunity to run away from. But then he puts out his little poison spores and haste spores and whatever have you and runs away. But ultimately it's not going to help him that much. Poor old Glut. He puts up a little stand, but you know, he's not going to last long. And as for the barbarian, I gave him a second opportunity, but it didn't really help him. He died pretty quickly. And currently Lizelle's got all the little bonus extras, so she's doing savage amounts of damage at the moment. And yeah, it's quite funny when you get the extra, the thunder damage and magic missile. It's just a no-brainer. Automatically hitting, automatically extra damage. It's great. And yeah, obviously let Karlach just smack something. It's the best way. And yeah, this fight over. I then decided to do Ascend to Godhood. Now this is one of my favourite races. The Kuo-toa are worshipping Buhao. Now if you don't know, the Kuo-toa are one of the original races that were enslaved by the Mind Flayers, and they were created by the Mind Flayers, and they have this weird ability where whatever they worship gains power. Hence why when they're worshipping the wrong thing, it still gains power from them. Now through the conversation dialogues, I hope to steal that power for myself because it's funny. And yeah, obviously take the power away from this little shite that's pretending to be Bual. This is one of my favourite things in the Underdark to do. It's one of my favourite little encounters. It's actually quite tucked away. It's quite difficult to find. But yeah, when you do find it, it's one of the most fun encounters. And yeah, being a bard, you can easily convince them that they're praying to a false god. And you know, and bless him, it doesn't go well for the little guy. And in this case though, he did manage to run in and kill the priest before he managed to do anything, which is not brilliant, because ideally you want to keep him on side. I should have added guidance to that, but the checks were easy enough. and I had plenty of rerolls, so that's fine. Now, I did think that this might work, but she was unfortunately out of range. I should have used her ability to that ability before I shot, but I'm an idiot and I didn't, and yeah, that was a bit of a dumb move, and I should have raged before doing the throw, but you know, there you go, not the smartest of moves for me. But I wasn't particularly worried because I was about to get mobbed by all of the fishmen who, when they mob something, they do mob it pretty badly. They are savages, and yeah, I thought if anything he's going to try and kill my raven, but he didn't. He just even though he's blind, decided to run in and attack the priest, and really did an immense amount of damage. So I think that was particularly unlucky, but all the others run in now and absolutely beat him to death, and you know, it's not much he's not gonna last very long in there. And yeah, I've convinced them to worship me instead of him, which, you know, there is a point at which we'll see if that works towards the end of the game. I don't know if it works if you don't save the high priest, because I've never failed to save the high priest before, so that's new. But that's the, you know, as we know, with the honor mode, it doesn't always work perfectly, and that is part of the fun of playing honor mode, you know. So yeah, poor guy's not gonna last long with everything piling in on him, and yeah, she has now used her ability to so now suddenly an 80% chance, and she's terrible with a bow, and now she's got the lightning damage as well as poison damage, as well as her caustic ring. She only got poison damage. She only gets the poison damage when she heals, but you know, the way she gets all of their little extra bits of damage is great. And yeah, and if you're sleeping on Cause Wounds is one of the best spells to use in melee, but unfortunately it's incredibly difficult to actually do anything, because getting to Buckaroo was quite difficult. He was hemmed in and surrounded, so I tried my best to get to him because it is so damaging. And yeah, he managed to get, what did he? I can't even remember. I think the Raven might have taken him out. Yeah, the Raven took him out, so all good. Now I'm worshipped like a god, and that's it for this episode. I'll catch you in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.